chocolate all over me, but
Well, here we are. Today, I believe, is what, the 17th, May 17th. Last night, Hele Ma'u went and blew its top at 4:17 this morning, produced an ash cloud up to 30,000 feet, but we still have visitors here. And so these are folks who've come from YouTube. You two are from Florida, and it's Chris and Ann?
yeah.
Got it. All right. So it's safe in Mountain View. Honest. We got tourists here. They've come all the way over. You know, Norwegian Cruise Lines says like it won't even stop in the island anymore because everybody's so excited. What I would avoid is if there's an ash fall or you smell sulfur, go indoors, or if you have to be outside, wear a mask. Otherwise, avoid too much contact to television media. It's bad for your health.
I'll second that.
So that ought to prove it. We had visitors here today from the mainland, and they survived the volcanic eruptions. We also had visitors from up the coast here, all YouTube people who have seen the farm here on YouTube, wanted to drop by and say hello. And then one of the people who came by this morning, Melissa from Pipiacao, up the coast just north of Hilo there, she brought me rain-proof mangoes. Rain-proof mangoes. They're loaded with them. They got enough of them that they're feeding birds and rats off the tree. This looks like one of the Indonesian mangoes that they call lajiwa. I got a hold of some of them last year. There's a guy over here in Hawaiian Acres. Ordinarily, mangoes do not fruit on the wet side of the island. Not very many, at least. So the mango trees grow here like crazy, but all those darn South Indian mangoes from Mediterranean climates related to Hayden, those all have to be on the dry sides if you want to get fruit on them. And so it's frustrating if you live in eastern Hawaii because you can grow a great big tree, it makes nice lumber, but it hardly ever fruits. But these Indonesian mangoes are not from a Mediterranean climate. They are from rainy regions similar to eastern Hawaii, and they fruit here in spades. And I have a whole pile of seeds that she brought me from the tree, and I'm growing them out here in the nursery, and I am so excited about this. These are the ugliest mangoes on earth, and those of you who are familiar with the South Indian Hayden type, you know, they're bright orange, red, and very pretty, and so on. These babies, they're green and russeted, but the inside is delectable. Very peach-like flavor in this mango. No turpentine. Great mango, and it fruits on this side of the island, but hard to find, not in commercial production. Nobody here seems to be breeding them that I know of. Probably is someone somewhere. But I certainly can't walk into a nursery here in town and say, hey, you got a rainproof mango. If you say that, they'll probably turn you towards Pope, which is a South Indian mango known to take a little more rain, but still not a good choice for this area. Anyhow, 4:17 this morning. The Helima Umau up here, or otherwise also pronounced Hele Ma'u Mahu. Depends on who you talk to and where you put the okinas. Not going to worry about it, but it is not Hele Momo. It's not Hele Momo. That seems to become the common pronunciation. But anyhow, if you put all the okinas in and sound it, it is probably more like Hele Ma'u Ma'u. Local Hawaiians here who speak the language, unlike myself, can correct me. All the guys in the news lately are calling it Hele Ma'u Ma'u, which certainly makes a lot more sense. Anyway, pronunciation aside, the mountain blew up today, had themselves a good steam and ash eruption. They say it went 30,000 feet up. And because there were multiple layers of air motion at that kind of an elevation, they were afraid the ash was going to come right down here in Mountain View and all the way over to Hilo. As it happened, we've been waiting all day, and there hasn't been a speck of ash here. We did have a little sulfur in the air this morning from the vents at Leilani Estates. The wind motion was almost nil last night, and some of that plume did move this way as the sulfur dioxide got into the clouds with the rain and so on. It converted itself to sulfuric acid, And when I walked out this morning, it smelled like a plugged up catalytic converter in your car, or a bad egg fart or something. It was present, and the air wasn't good. Breathing it for too long was not going to be a great thing. Although it's not toxic. Okay, it's not like the sulfur dioxide that they're getting down at the site. It's just irritating. Not good for you. Anyway, that passed. The wind's turning. We're getting the trades back. It's blowing all this stuff out of here. Like I said, I had 3 YouTube visitors this morning, 2 of them from Florida, and they survived. They're still alive. The explosion was pretty dramatic. It really went up there. And then, of course, avoid excessive exposure to media. Also, stay indoors, stay away from ashfall and so on. But this media circus here, as I had said some while back in the fire sale video about time to buy a property in Hawaii, it's so bad right now that about 50% of the bookings to the future have been canceled. People are afraid to come here. Norwegian cruise lines, Norwegian chickens, these are the people that, the Vikings, whatever, they chickened out. They won't come into Hilo, and there's no eruptions there. They won't come into Kona, and all Kona's got is bad air from the volcano. There's nothing going on over there either. They're all going up to Maui. They're afraid of the island, the big, brave Norwegian Viking cruise lines. And so, of course, that's cutting into the local economy. We make money with tourists, we sell them stuff. Lodging, food, blah, blah, trinkets, beads, whatever. And so it's impacting, and a lot of it is fictitious. It's erroneous. It's not to say that there is nothing going on here. There's stuff going on. But issues are very localized. Currently, in my mind, the most important thing that's going on is that this is breaking some of the roads up that are major arteries. We don't have a lot of roads in Hawaii, no freeways and so on. And there are cracks forming in the main highway up here by the park in the middle of Highway 11. Now, this has happened before. It's not new. We've seen cracks form in the highway up there, but there's quite a few, and that is a major artery. You can't get from one side of the island to the other, at least down in the southern half here, without using it. There are other ways to get across. And, of course, there's always a saddle road, which is awesome. Best highway that we have, brand new. Hopefully, that isn't going to start cracking or doing something weird. But we are limiting access to places because roads are breaking. Vents are coming up, down south here. And we're still hearing booming from down in southeast Puna. And I guess a lot of us are concerned about the lava moving in towards the geothermal plant. That's still an issue. But with all the warnings and all the 30,000 foot tall ash plumes and whatnot, here in Mountain View it's kind of a gray, slightly drizzly day. You say it smelled a little in the morning. It doesn't smell this afternoon. It's blowing away. Ain't nothing happening here, folks. I am getting a lot of people on YouTube, viewers, coming back to me concerned, the ash will kill you. So even my brother, who's, been fairly educated in geology and volcanism, he's been here several times. He loves volcanoes. Even my brother, have you got, can you go to the surplus store, get one of those U.S. Army full body chemical suits, the ones he used to wear in the Army when they test nerve agents on him, He was afraid too. I had to call him up and said, Bob, ain't nothing happening much. Air smells a little, not happy about it. But we didn't even get a bit of ash, so I won't have to clean the roof. No, it's not to say that there won't be another. See, this is not like some of these subduction volcanoes where they start to emit these plumes of ash and it goes on and on and on and on until it buries the countryside, like Mount St. Helens did. But that's not what's happening here. There's just the groundwater ran in, hit the magma in that thing, and Maumau decided it was going to go pakoom, and it did. The eruption lasted but a few minutes at 4:17, stopped, sent up one hell of a tower, but that was it. Now it'll do it again. and it'll do it again. It'll probably throw refrigerator-sized rocks out inside the park, but you're not allowed in the park. They even evacuated the staff. There are no more rangers or anybody in the park. Just webcams looking at stuff. So, I don't know. I don't want to belittle it. There's always a concern, but it ain't what you think it is, and it's not what it looks like on the news. Because well over 90% of the island here today, at the worst thing anybody can say is, oh, the air's been better. That's about it. And when the good air comes back, we're going to love it because it's some of the best in the United States of America. Right down the mountain here, about maybe 15 miles away from my front window, at the lighthouse point at Kumakai. Down there is where the EPA, bless Scott Pruitt's black little heart, it wasn't his doing. They set up the baseline clean air monitoring station for the United States of America. There is nothing between Mazatlan, Mexico and Kumakai except 2,500 miles of Pacific Ocean. When the air comes in down here at the point and then sweeps up the hill into my front window, that's good air. It's one of the reasons I moved here, because despite today's not so good air, over 95% of the time the air here is spectacular. And again, the baseline, that monitoring baseline used to be on Humphreys Peak at Flagstaff, Arizona, but they detected pollution up there in the mainland some years back and had to move it where they could actually get a clean zero. So it's here. So along with the crappy air, we also have the finest air on the planet, at least in the United States right here. And as I said, that point is 15 miles down the mountain, and the wind comes right up into my front room most of the time, and we love it. It's excellent. I was out yesterday during all the chaos. I was planting peppers. I put in some more roselle, so we'll get some more fruiting or hibiscus out there. I also put in a few more of the Okinawan purple sweet potatoes yesterday. So despite all the disaster and the fact the Viking cruise lines won't come to the island because they're scared, the people who had swords and spears, they won't come here. I think, honestly, the cruise line ships themselves with Legionnaire's disease, food poisoning, water spills, and God, you name it, whatever, broken motors. I think it's more dangerous being on a cruise line than it is getting off the boat here in Hilo on a volcanic island, trust me. The other issue, too, as you see all this news, and it's true, there's all kind of eruptions and stuff going on here. This is a volcanic island, and every inch of it is a volcanic island. That doesn't mean lava's going to come up in your driveway anywhere. Most likely it won't. But in certain areas, lava zone 1, it does. And thing is, though, Kilauea has been flowing lava continuously without stop since 1983, and nobody really cared. Why? Because mostly it was after it destroyed a couple subdivisions in a town on the south side of the island. After that, everybody forgot about it, became a tourist attraction, and it just ran into the ocean. The lava just went down to the ocean, so, what the heck, who really cares? It was just building a new island. And so for, since 1983, there's been an eruption here. Constant. It's just that recently, it happened to pop up in the middle of my buddy Jim's driveway and covered his house with that feet of lava. So it came up in a subdivision. That was the problem. Although the subdivision was in a place where in the last 120 some years there had been about 15 lava flows, and so, could have had a clue on that. And then the geothermal plant in exactly the same place, 15 lava flows in 120 years, duh. That took a rocket scientist to figure out, but they're worried about the hydrogen sulfide that's in the wells. I don't know, somebody told me that they saw the Air Force airlifting some equipment in there for the guys that I guess they're going to try to cap or blow the wells. I have heard the possibility they might try the same treatment they do with oil well fires, that they might try to blow the wells. I don't know what they're going to do. It'll be the end of the geothermal plant, I think, before it's over. They are hoping that the lava is progressing towards the sea, but it'll go right through the geothermal plant to get there. Out here in the nursery, the plants are doing fine. Sold some today. Like I said, had visitors. No danger. No danger. Just chicken Vikings from Norway who run cruise lines. That's all. Getting all excited. Since 1983, it hasn't stopped. I'm telling you. Hale Mau Mau up here, or in the park. That was sleeping when I first saw it. But back in 2008, that caldera opened up, and it has been productive nonstop ever since. Okay? The last 10 years. There's been no sleep up there in the park. We erupt here constantly. It's just that there was nothing particularly catastrophic. A lot of gas. Had to close the road that went around the calderas because the far side where the wind sweeps the stuff, you couldn't drive through it anymore. It was too toxic, too much sulfur dioxide. So that changed. There was an eruption in there a while ago that did throw out some rocks about the size of a Volkswagen up into an old parking lot at the old observation area on the other end. Stuff happens all the time, but that's it. It happens here all the time. It's when it stops that we get worried, not when it's flowing lava, not when it's erupting. When these things are going on day after day after day, they're happy. You know, it just rolls to the sea. It's highly viscous, high silica lava, just flows almost like water, doesn't usually back up, and so, you know, not a big deal. The ejections in the park, not a big deal. Tourist attraction. You know, they're worried right now of a violent steam eruption that could hurl rocks out, and that's the main reason things are closed. Now, the park is designed in such a way, the land was set in such a way, so when there's an ash fall and there's gas, most of it falls in the western end of the park. When there's an explosion in the caldera, most of the rock and the pebbles land in the park. Okay, when that looks like it might happen, they close the park. Well, that's a bummer because that's the major tourist destination on this island. And when it's all bubbly lava and fun and stuff, everybody thinks it's great, you know. So, like I say, we worry more when it stops here on this island, not when it goes. So, misconceptions, I guess, about it. It's sad because it's affecting tourist business all the way over in Kona, where there is no eruption going on currently. It's affecting many places that have absolutely nothing to do with this at all. The worst thing happening in Kona with this is the air is not good. Of course, Kona always has lousy air. Anytime there's any volcanism on this side of the island, it always goes that way. Well, 90-some% of the time because of the trade wind. And so Kona's always choking. I guess people get used to it. I don't like traveling there personally because we live where the air is generally extremely clean, and I go over there and I think I'm in Los Angeles or something. Makes my throat burn. But that's where all the tourists go. And I guess they come from Los Angeles, and the air is just as bad there as it is in Kona, so they don't notice the difference, I suppose. Anyway, there you go. That's today's eruption update. We heard a couple rumbles. We had some visitors, and they survived. They're out of here alive. They're heading back to Hilo. I sent them on down to Suicide at the fish market. Get a poke bowl. Highly recommended a local moco at Cafe 100 and enjoy some of the local island cuisine. Aloha and happy gardening.